Hey everybody, my name is Jordan Smith. I'm with iProv, and I've got Patrick Laughlin here with me, also from iProv. Hi, Pat.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, we're trying out something a little bit different. So we figured with everybody quarantined at home, hopefully, and trying to get through the workday, that we'd start to put out some kind of tips and advice on how to survive COVID-19 and still run an effective business, an efficient business. So this is our first one. So do me a favor, give it a watch. If you like it, if you hate it, if you want more of it, if you want us to, please tell us. We're trying to do this for you and put out some decent free content, hopefully. So just trying to share some information that has helped us over the past few weeks get through this, and some stuff that we hope will help us weather this storm until we get to the other end of it, because we will get to the other end of it. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, and I think the first thing that we have to mention, Jordan, is that social distancing being in place, we're going to be doing this via Zoom for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
And I think that's the first thing to sort of talk about, is you got to have some way that you can have face-to-face meetings with people.
Yeah.
If you can't be in the same office, if you can't be in the same room, you got to at least find ways that you can have a connection.
Yeah.
So we moved over to Zoom. We were using Google Hangouts before then. Thoughts on Zoom versus Google Hangouts versus some of the others?
Man, I want to first of all say this is not a sponsored, thing from Zoom, but we're open to it, Zoom, if you're out there and we start.
Absolutely.
But, I like Zoom a lot. It seems like the quality's better. It seems like we have a lot less skipping. For us, it was well worth the money just to keep up that consistent line of communication. So, in my opinion, it's paid for itself, times 10.
Yeah, I think the other really important thing is sort of meeting cadence too. It's really easy when you're all in the office together to sort of run down the hall and ask a quick question. We've been burning up our Slack channels over the last couple of weeks for those kind of interactions. But I will say there has been a whole lot more sort of focus work being done. I think that our shop in particular has got a good meeting cadence. And I think that has also been really important to staying efficient and staying effective when we're all not, within arm's reach of each other, especially from a management perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's perfect. And that's what we're here to talk today about, is really just sharing our framework on how we're managing our employees remotely, in hopes that maybe you guys will glean a little bit of something that might help you guys run your organization, since this is all the reality that we're going to be in for a little while. So just a little background on us. We're a marketing agency, but just like everything else, marketing is a process. So we've developed this process to not only help out with our communication with our clients so that they know what's going on, but also internally. So it all works within a larger framework that we call our VISTA process, which is vision, strategy, tactics, and alignment. Today, we're really just going to be talking about the alignment piece, because I know, I'm VP of Sales and Marketing. Pat's our COO, so from an operational standpoint, what we're talking about today is super beneficial for him. But even from a sales perspective, whenever I'm talking to individuals that are just trying to figure out what their next step is, one of the things that they're trying to tackle right now is, how do I make sure that my folks work just as effective remotely as they do whenever I was in the office with them. So today we're going to be talking about what we call our VFT process, which is our view from the top. Before we even get into that, Pat, we mentioned some tools like Zoom and Slack. What other tool sets are we using right now that you want to tell people about that might be beneficial?
Well, obviously we're sort of an Asana power user shop. I think that we use Asana maybe more effectively than just about, let's say 90% of the folks out there on Asana, and we've really made it our own. So having a really defined system for how the work gets done helps when you can't be next to each other. because there's sort of no guesswork for when things need to go to the next person in the chain of a task getting completed. And then sort of some tools that help us measure actual efficiency. We use a tool called Screenful, and it measures, it measures how long it takes for us to do a task, how many tasks we have planned for the week. It lets us set good expectations for clients. So tools like that just sort of aid in communication and aid in expectations help a whole lot. And then using those as part of your sort of daily check-in meetings help to make the weekly all-hands meetings go a whole lot smoother.
No, absolutely. Me being in it, I don't know how we would get stuff done without that, or at least keep track of all the moving pieces and make sure that client stuff still gets done. So, well, cool. And if you guys have any questions about those tool sets, reach out to us and let us know. We can shoot you over some links or tell you how we use that stuff. So, Pat, what do you say we just step into the VFT framework, the view from the top?
Sure, absolutely. You want to show them how we do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, we like to say this is kind of your checklist. So the very first thing we do is weekly, and I don't think this is going to be, anything revolutionary for anybody, but, we kind of have an all hands meeting every single Monday. So we have one for each department. Everybody has one individually, but we also do one for the entire organization. I'd be happy to share kind of that spreadsheet and the framework that we use for that stuff. And I think we could absolutely give that to everybody so you guys can do with it what you will. But we go through a number of things. The very first thing we go through is big wins. Pat, this is I know a part that you fill in every week. So talk a little bit about why big wins are important.
Well, I think now more than ever, it's really important that we celebrate the big wins because they're not coming as fast and as furious as they were before all of this. So I think it's important to sort of set the tone of the meeting, especially when it's everyone together and you can't really be together, to make sure that you're celebrating, the good stuff that happens during the week, because every cloud has a silver lining. And it doesn't really matter if it's a real big win or if it's just something small. I think it's really important that you call each other out and you say, hey, I think that you did a good job here. This is something that moved us a little closer to the vision that leadership set for the company, or that it accomplished something big for our clients. So I think that's really, really important. So Joe, tell me one of your big wins for the week so far. One of our big wins that we reviewed on Monday was we still set 3 appointments with prospects. 2 of them found us organically, just looking for advice on how to make sure that they maintain their marketing efforts throughout this kind of turbulent time. So, that's a huge big win. It's really huge. The idea that anybody's out there buying consulting services right now is amazing. So just the fact that they're digging in and they're looking and they're asking questions is really awesome. So So for your business, it could be an onboarding of a new employee. It could be a project that was kind of lingering around that somebody went and did. Oftentimes, it's somebody going in for us and cleaning up some of our processes and really looking at it from an outsider's perspective and without being asked, going in there and fixing something like that. But the most important part of that, which Pat mentioned, which I agree with, and which is why I love starting the meeting off like that, is it sets everybody up. It sets up the meeting with a couple positive things in the beginning. Sometimes there's challenges and you're talking about those things in the meetings, and we'll get to that in a second, but it starts everybody off on the right foot. So after we sort of kick off the meeting with a big win, we always look at the company dashboard. And in a lot of ways, it's like a scorecard. Everyone's got a number that they're responsible for. And each one of those numbers, we as leaders in the company have said are important indicators of progress. So maybe it's new revenue that we booked last week, or maybe it's the number of first-time appointments that came from our marketing efforts, or maybe it's something as simple as, did we hit all of our deadlines last week?
Yeah.
It's all of those things, and it's really quick, but it is sort of a nice gauge on the performance of the agency week to week.
And it is a dashboard, and that's what it should be. It's not the time to talk about excuses. It's not the time. The numbers are what the numbers are. And that's the key point to that, is they should be numbers. This is not a feeling metric. These are number of tasks, number of things produced, number of people seen, number of new clients, something, but they all have to be clear numbers. That just looking at it, Pat mentioned like a dashboard, looking at it, you can tell what the health of the organization is that week, and if you need to make any corrective steps moving forward.
Yeah, so after we look at the dashboard and we sort of get a feeling for how the company is performing, we look at long-range goals. And we set goals at our company a quarter at a time. And this last quarter, we actually sort of changed the way that we set goals. We moved to an objectives and key results system, and that's something you're more than welcome to Google and go down that rabbit hole. But it was something different for us. Joe, what did you think about OKRs for the first time?
I liked it because it measures a couple of things. Besides just saying if you're on pace or off pace to hit your quarterly goals, we call this part anchors. So again, using kind of that mountaintop analogy, the view from the top, then we're working at, okay, what are our anchors? What can we do this quarter to move us there? It not only gives people the opportunity to talk about if they're off track or on track, it also lets them talk about the impact that they made towards that anchor that week, that previous week, and their confidence in getting that done. So as a group, we can look at it and say, okay, so-and-so made a lot of progress towards this specific anchor. And they're still pretty confident that they're going to be able to hit that goal that they set for themselves this quarter. It also allows you to look at it and say, okay, we haven't really seen any impact on this for the past couple of weeks. What's going on? Is it sometimes you just set bad anchors? I mean, sometimes what's a priority in the beginning of the quarter, isn't necessarily one, but no matter what, there should be some consistent effort going towards that anchor.
Yeah, it really shows you who's engaged and who's not in moving the company towards its goals.
Yeah.
When you do some research on objectives and key results and how they work, you're supposed to set big goals. Nobody expects you to complete them. In fact, we sort of green lighted at 70% because if you're setting the right goals, it's hard to achieve them in a quarter. And that's another thing that I like about it too, is it rewards progress. It's not a binary, I did it or I didn't do it. It says, I put a lot of effort into this, and that effort is going to have an impact, even if I didn't get it all the way completed. So I think it's something that we're going to continue to experiment with probably for the rest of the year, just to sort of see if it's something that we really want to adopt long term.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, our VFT meeting, the very first thing we have is our big wins. Next, we have our scorecards where we're looking at the numbers. Then we just talked about those anchors, right? What's the progress on them and how confident you're going to be able to get those things done. And then the next part that we talk about, Pat, is what? We discuss challenges, right?
Well, no, actually, it's the next steps. It's our to-do list.
Yeah. Right, okay.
So the to-do list, our next steps, it's just, it's an accountability tool. When we get together as a group and we talk about the things that we know we need to address or the things that we see as opportunities, assignments should come out of that each week. Yeah. And so as a way to hold each other accountable, we put a deadline on company tasks. They're not always the most urgent thing. It's usually not the stuff that your hair's on fire about. Clients calling you in the middle of the night because there's a typo in something. But it's the important thing. It's the thing that gets you to the next big thing. Sure. And so we review that accountability piece before we talk about what are some of the things that we need to add to that list over the next week. That's really simple. Did you get what you said you'd get done? If you didn't, why not? And then we move on and we talk about those challenges.
Yeah, and like you said, those to-do things, we always say those are things that should be done within a week, right? If it's going to take longer than that, then don't put them on there. Leave them down there in those challenges. And those challenges, they're exactly what it sounds like they are. Is they're just what challenges are you facing? What did you face last week? Maybe it's something that's more urgent, like Pat mentioned. The not important and the not urgent stuff sometimes, but maybe it is something that needs to be discussed. And this is everything and all things on here. From a leadership perspective, if there's an issue that we need to address or talk about, even individually, if there's some things that are holding you back from your anchor or something that you faced, or especially now, one of the things that we're talking about every week during this part is, what does everybody need to be able to do their job remotely? Do you need anything? If you do, let us know and let's get it so that you aren't hindered and you can still deliver the work that we expect you to deliver on.
Yeah, and it's amazing. We figured out one of our employees had really spotty internet. She lives sort of outside of town, and she raised her hand and said, "Listen, I'm having a hard time connecting. What can we do?" We were able to get her a hotspot. Now she's able to attend and participate and get her work done, and that lets us make sure that we're giving our employees everything that they need in order to be successful.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. All right, Pat, what's the last part of the meeting?
Well, so then we tend to believe it or not, this is something that one of our employees came up with. We have a consequences section to our VFT. It's not something that we recommend to everybody, but it's sort of a self-accountability tool. If you're late to a meeting, if you promised to do something and you didn't do it, we have a set of shared consequences that you draw out of a bowl, and we report on consequences completed throughout the week. And it's really just something that's fun, that's part of our culture. It keeps everybody honest, and it's a lot more fun in person than it is remotely, but it's important that we keep all of those parts and pieces together as we're sort of trying out this new venture.
So that's our structure. It's our view from the top meeting. So within 20 minutes, we've got a really good window and idea on the work that was done last week in the organization, what's coming up that we maybe need to look at or pay a little bit more attention to, and what folks are struggling with, and how we can support them as a leadership team to make sure that they're able to complete the tasks that either they've assigned themselves or that we've assigned.
Well, and Jordan, there's also, we talked about sort of the meeting cadence, and that's our weekly meeting, but you have joined our daily meeting recently, just, because I think it's to stay connected with everybody. We used to do one huddle every day, and now we're sort of doing this afternoon follow-up too. What do you think about that?
I think it's super valuable. With not only the VFT meeting, but these kind of daily check-ins that Pat's talking about, we require everybody to be on video. So not just audio, we want to see your faces, and we want everybody else to see your face. And, in the beginning, that might sound minor, but it helps when you're not able to see your coworkers for weeks. Just seeing their face and looking into another person's eyes instead of just listening to a voice.
Yeah.
So we love it. So first thing in the morning, for some people, it's the second or third thing they do. But 8:30 in the morning, we have everybody sign on, and we review all the tasks that are in Asana. We look at what was due yesterday, and if it's overdue, we look at what needs to be done today. Sometimes that's when people kind of raise their hand and say, "Hey, I need a little help with this," or "I don't think I can get this because I'm waiting on this." But what we talked about earlier kind of sets the goal and the priorities for the week and the quarter. This is really helping us set the priorities day to day. Then we do an afternoon call. So at some point in the middle of the afternoon, we do the same thing. The morning one lasts, half an hour most of the time. The one in the afternoon is about that time, most of the time shorter, but it's just kind of a check-in call. And we've heard from our employees, that's valuable for them. So being able to have a couple instances to check in with people throughout the day. We found that it also helped with morale. Some people were getting off that 8:30 call and just headphones on and plugging away until 5:30, 6, 7 o'clock at night. Sometimes, especially in the production world, with very few communication besides emails with everyone else. So we heard it was kind of something that our employees started to look forward to in the afternoon, was just getting back together with everybody.
Yeah, I think it's really important. I think the other thing that is important too, and I think you mentioned it, because we're starting to see a whole lot of it, is you got to end the workday at some point.
Yeah.
Everyone who's worked in the agency business for any amount of time knows that 10 and 12-hour days are called for often, but they shouldn't be the norm. And I think it's really tempting to sort of overwork during this time period, just because the place that you work is the same place that you live. And so I think it's really important to sort of set internal boundaries, and as a management team, set expectations that you don't want people working past after hours if they don't need to, because you want them to have some separation between work and life, because it's really easy to burn out in conditions like this.
Exactly. And, some business owners think that, having a loose structure actually helps their employees. I'd tell you that they like that structure. So anybody out there trying to figure out, well, that sounds like a lot of meetings and a lot of, type of things. I would say that we've seen our employees strive whenever we incorporate this type of structure. So,
Joe, I gotta hop off, man, but this was fun.
Yeah. Hey, everyone, I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, reach out to us. If you have other topics you want us to talk about, let us know too. So hopefully this is helpful, and we want to do more of it. Thanks, everybody.
All right. See you guys.